Do you want to successfully complete the D351 Objective Assessment Exam? Then you are in the right place. Our website provides a list of questions and answers for your success in the D351 OA exam for free. We understand that acing your OA exam can be quite challenging. That's why we provide completely free exam guides and practice questions for you. In this video, we will cover questions from training development, performance appraisal, total rewards, labour relations, strategic HRM. So let's get started. 1. A manufacturing company notices declining productivity and increased employee turnover across multiple departments. The HR director must identify which core function of human resource management would be most directly responsible for addressing these workforce performance and retention issues within the organisation. A. Staffing the organisation. B. Globalising the HRM function. C. Maintaining effective work relationships. D. Enhancing human potential. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. C. Maintaining effective work relationships. Explanation. Option C is correct, because maintaining effective work relationships focuses on creating conditions that make it attractive for employees to stay and addresses retention issues directly. Option A is incorrect because staffing the organisation deals with recruiting and selecting new employees rather than addressing existing employee performance and turnover problems within departments. Option B is incorrect because globalising the HRM function involves developing policies with international applicability and learning from other countries rather than solving domestic retention challenges. Option D is incorrect because enhancing human potential focuses on formal and informal training and development activities rather than specifically targeting employee retention and workplace conditions. All right, let's break down this workplace performance scenario. When you see declining productivity and increased turnover happening together, you're dealing with a relationship problem, not a hiring problem or a training problem. The core HR function of maintaining effective work relationships focuses on creating conditions where employees actually want to stay. This function directly tackles retention by improving the workplace environment, addressing conflicts, and building a culture that keeps people engaged. Staffing is about getting new people in the door. Enhancing human potential is about training them. Globalising HRM is about international policy. But when people are leaving and performance is dropping, the issue is the relationship between employees and the organisation itself. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. When a question pairs turnover with morale or productivity, think relationships first. Quick recall hook, turnover =, turn to relationships. 2. During a quarterly review meeting, the Chief Executive Officer asks the HR team to explain how human resource management adds value to the organisation. Which of the following best describes the two major activities that define human resource management according to its fundamental purpose? A. Planning HR needs and adding value. B. Recruiting candidates and terminating employees. C. Processing payroll and administering benefits. D. Creating policies and enforcing regulations. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. A. Planning HR needs and adding value. Explanation. Option A is correct because HRM involves two major activities, which include planning and synchronizing HR needs with a strategic mission and adding value through people. Option B is incorrect because while recruiting and terminating are HR tasks, they represent only operational activities rather than the two defining major activities of human resource management. Option C is incorrect because payroll processing and benefits administration are administrative functions that support HR rather than representing its fundamental defining major activities. Option D is incorrect because creating policies and enforcing regulations are supporting functions within HR, rather than the two primary major activities that define human resource management. Let's get to the core of what HR actually does at a strategic level. Human resource management isn't just paperwork and payroll. It has two major defining activities: planning HR needs and adding value through people. Planning means synchronizing your workforce with the organization's strategic mission, figuring out who you need, when and where. Adding value means people aren't just costs, they're competitive advantages. The other options describe tasks HR does, but they're not the defining activities. Recruiting and terminating? Those are operational. Payroll and benefits, administrative support, policies and regulations, supporting functions. The two pillars of HRM are planning and value creation. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. If a question asks what defines or characterizes HRM, look for strategic language like planning and value. Quick recall hook: HR = plan plus value. 3. A hospital administrator discovers that nursing staff are frequently absent, and departmental morale remains consistently low despite competitive salaries. The administrator wants to understand which HR implicit objective should be prioritized to address these workplace quality concerns and create better working conditions. A. Ensure legal compliance. B. Foster ethical behavior. C. Improve productivity. D. Improve quality of work life. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer: D. Improve quality of work life. Explanation. Option D is correct because improving quality of work life addresses employees' desire for more autonomy and opportunities, directly impacting morale and attendance in the workplace. Option A is incorrect because ensuring legal compliance focuses on following laws and regulations, rather than addressing the underlying employee satisfaction issues causing low morale and absenteeism. Option B is incorrect because fostering ethical behaviour relates to maintaining moral principles and values in workplace conduct, rather than improving working conditions and employee satisfaction. Option C is incorrect because improving productivity focuses on work organisation and design outcomes rather than directly addressing the quality of working conditions affecting employee morale. This question is about what HR should prioritise when the problem is morale and absenteeism, despite decent pay. The answer is improving quality of work life. This is an implicit HR objective that addresses what employees actually want beyond their paycheck: autonomy, meaningful work, and better working conditions. Legal compliance won't fix morale. Ethical behaviour matters but doesn't address satisfaction. Productivity improvements focus on output, not the working experience. When employees show up less and feel worse even though salaries are competitive, the workplace itself is the problem. Quality of work life is about making the job worth showing up for. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. When you see morale and absenteeism together with competitive pay, the answer points to work-life quality, not compensation. Quick recall hook: low morale plus absences = quality of work life. 4. HR functions should apply to which groups when managing organisational talent needs? A. Only current full-time employees. B. Both internal and external candidates. C. Exclusively external job applicants. D. Only management-level personnel. Do you know the answer? Correct answer: B. Both internal and external candidates. Explanation. Option B is correct because the key functions of HR management apply to both internal candidates who are currently employed and external candidates who are not currently employed. Option A is incorrect because limiting HR functions to only current full-time employees excludes part-time staff and potential external candidates who are essential considerations for workforce planning. Option C is incorrect because focusing exclusively on external applicants ignores the valuable pool of internal candidates who already understand the organisation and its culture. Option D is incorrect because restricting HR functions to management-level personnel excludes the majority of the workforce and ignores the needs of all organisational positions. Here's a fundamental principle about HR scope. HR functions apply to both internal and external candidates. Internal candidates are your current employees, people already working for you who might fill different roles. External candidates are everyone else, people not currently on your payroll. A growing startup needs to tap both pools. Limiting HR to only current full-time employees ignores part-timers and outside talent. Focusing only on external applicants wastes the institutional knowledge your current people already have. Restricting to management ignores everyone else. HR planning, recruiting, selection, development, all of it applies across the board, inside and outside the organisation. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Questions about HR scope or applicability almost always have both or all as the correct answer. Quick recall hook. HR functions =sign both in and out. 5. A retail company wants to evaluate how employees are performing their job duties and determine who should receive promotions and salary increases. Which core HR function provides the systematic method for measuring, evaluating, and influencing employee job-related attributes, behaviours, and outcomes in organisations? A. Appraising employee behaviour. B. Staffing the organisation. C. Compensating employees. D. Enhancing human potential. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, A. Appraising employee behaviour. Explanation. Option A is correct because performance appraisal is the method used for measuring and monitoring employee contributions and serves as the basis for promotions, training, and raises. Option B is incorrect because staffing the organisation focuses on recruiting, selecting, and placing employees rather than evaluating the ongoing performance of current employees in their roles. Option C is incorrect because compensating employees involves distributing rewards based on job value and performance, rather than conducting the actual measurement and evaluation of performance. Option D is incorrect because enhancing human potential focuses on training and development activities rather than the systematic evaluation and measurement of existing employee job performance. When a company wants to evaluate job performance and decide on promotions or raises, they need performance appraisal. This falls under the HR function called appraising employee behaviour. Performance appraisal is the systematic method for measuring, evaluating, and influencing what employees do at work, their attributes, behaviours, and outcomes. Staffing gets people into jobs, compensation distributes rewards. Enhancing human potential develops skills through training. But the actual measurement and evaluation of how someone is performing, that's appraisal. It's the foundation for promotion decisions, salary increases, training needs identification, and performance feedback. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. When you see measuring, evaluating, or monitoring performance, the answer is appraising employee behaviour. Quick recall hook. Measure performance =sign appraisal. 6. A manager at a private company in Texas terminates an employee for wearing a political button that the manager personally finds offensive. The employee had no employment contract and was not part of any union. Under which legal doctrine can the employer legally terminate this employee without facing wrongful termination liability? A. Implied contract exception. B. Public policy exception. C. Good faith exception. D. Employment at will. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, D. Employment at will. Explanation. Option D is correct because employment at will allows organisations to generally hire, fire, or promote a person for any reason whatsoever in all states except Montana. Option A is incorrect because the implied contract exception would actually limit the employer's ability to terminate if actions created a legally binding agreement through employer conduct or documents. Option B is incorrect because the public policy exception protects employees who are terminated for reasons that violate a public policy interest, but wearing political buttons is not covered. Option C is incorrect because the implied covenant of good faith exception requires parties to treat each other fairly, but this exception is only valid in a small number of states. This is a classic employment at will question. In the United States, employment at will means an employer can hire, fire, or promote someone for almost any reason, or no reason at all. Every state except Montana follows this doctrine. The employee in this scenario has no contract and no union, so they're at will. The political button situation doesn't trigger any exceptions. The implied contract exception would require the employer made binding promises through handbooks or conduct. The public policy exception protects whistleblowers and people exercising legal rights. Wearing political buttons in a private workplace isn't protected. The good faith exception only exists in a few states. At will is the default rule. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. When a question says no contract and no union in a private company, employment at will is almost always the answer. Quick recall hook. No contract plus no union =, at will. 7. An employee reports their supervisor for illegally dumping toxic waste and is subsequently fired by the company. The employee worked in a state that recognises exceptions to employment at will doctrine. Which exception would most likely protect this employee from wrongful termination in this whistleblowing situation? A. Implied contract exception. B. Good faith and fair dealing. C. Public policy exception. D. Employment at will doctrine. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, C. Public policy exception. Explanation. Option C is correct because the public policy exception protects employees terminated for engaging in whistleblowing activities, refusing to break the law, or exercising legal rights. Option A is incorrect because the implied contract exception relates to promises made through employer conduct or documents rather than protecting employees who report illegal workplace activities. Option B is incorrect because the good faith and fair dealing exception addresses general fairness in employment relationships rather than specifically protecting employees who expose illegal activities. Option D is incorrect because employment at will would actually allow the employer to terminate the employee, but the public policy exception overrides this doctrine in whistleblowing cases. Now let's look at when at will gets overridden. An employee reports illegal toxic waste dumping and gets fired. This is textbook whistleblowing, and it triggers the public policy exception. The public policy exception protects employees who are terminated for reporting illegal activities, refusing to break the law, or exercising statutory rights. The implied contract exception deals with broken promises from employers, not whistleblowing. Good faith and fair dealing is about general fairness, not specific legal protections for reporting crimes. Employment at will would normally allow this termination, but public policy carves out protection for people who do the right thing. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. When you see whistleblowing, reporting illegal activity, or refusing to break the law, the answer is public policy exception. Quick recall hook. Whistleblower =, public policy. 8. A federal agency that oversees workplace discrimination complaints has authority to conduct formal enforcement litigation against employers who violate anti-discrimination statutes. This agency was created by landmark civil rights legislation in the 1960s. Which agency has the responsibility to enforce federal equal opportunity employment regulations? A. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. B. Department of Labour. C. National Labour Relations Board. D. Occupational Safety Administration. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, A. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Explanation. Option A is correct because the EEOC was created by the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and oversees all federal equal opportunity employment regulations and enforces anti-discrimination statutes. Option B is incorrect because the Department of Labor focuses on workplace conditions, wages and labour standards, rather than specifically enforcing anti-discrimination laws in employment decisions. Option C is incorrect because the National Labour Relations Board deals with union organising and collective bargaining rights, rather than enforcing equal opportunity employment discrimination regulations. Option D is incorrect because the Occupational Safety Administration focuses on workplace safety and health standards rather than enforcing equal opportunity and anti-discrimination employment regulations. This question asks which agency enforces federal equal opportunity employment regulations. The answer is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or EEOC. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 created the EEOC specifically to oversee and enforce anti-discrimination laws in employment. The Department of Labor handles wages, workplace conditions, and labour standards, not discrimination cases. The National Labour Relations Board deals with unions and collective bargaining. OSHA focuses on workplace safety and health. When you see discrimination, protected characteristics, or Title VII enforcement, think EEOC. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Any question about discrimination enforcement or equal opportunity regulations leads to EEOC. Quick recall hook, discrimination =EEOC. 9. A company is reviewing its hiring practices to ensure compliance with federal anti-discrimination laws. The HR director wants to confirm which characteristics are protected under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Which list correctly identifies the protected characteristics under this landmark civil rights legislation? A. Age, disability and genetic information. B. Race, colour, religion, sex and origin. C. Veteran status and military service. D. Pregnancy, family status and income. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Race, colour, religion, sex and origin. Explanation. Option B is correct because Title VII makes it unlawful to refuse to hire any individual because of their race, colour, religion, sex or national origin. Option A is incorrect because age discrimination is covered by the Age Discrimination in Employment Act and disability by the ADA rather than being protected under Title VII. Option C is incorrect because veteran status and military service are protected by USERRA, which is a separate statute, rather than being characteristics protected under Title VII. Option D is incorrect because pregnancy discrimination is covered by a separate act from 1978, while family status and income are not specifically protected characteristics under federal law. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 protects 5 characteristics: race, colour, religion, sex and national origin. That's it for Title VII specifically. Age protection comes from the Age Discrimination in Employment Act, not Title VII. Disability protection comes from the Americans with Disabilities Act. Veteran status is protected under USERRA. Pregnancy has its own act from 1978. Family status and income aren't federally protected. For the exam, you need to know Title VII's 5: race, colour, religion, sex, origin. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. When asked specifically about Title VII protected characteristics, the answer always includes race, colour, religion, sex, and national origin. Nothing more. Quick recall hook. Title VII = race, colour, religion, sex, origin. 10. A job applicant with a documented physical impairment applies for a warehouse position. The applicant can perform all essential job functions with some workplace modifications. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, what is the employer legally required to provide for this qualified individual with a disability? A. Guaranteed employment regardless of skills. B. Unlimited modifications at any cost. C. Alternative job placement options. D. Reasonable accommodation. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, D. Reasonable accommodation. Explanation: option D is correct because the ADA requires employers to take proactive steps to provide reasonable accommodation for qualified disabled workers who can perform essential job functions. Option A is incorrect because the ADA does not guarantee employment, but rather prohibits discrimination against qualified individuals who possess the skills and abilities to perform essential functions. Option B is incorrect because employers must only provide accommodations that do not cause undue hardship to the business, rather than being required to provide unlimited modifications. Option C is incorrect because the ADA focuses on enabling employees to perform in their applied position with accommodations rather than requiring employers to create alternative placement options. The Americans with Disabilities Act requires employers to provide reasonable accommodation to qualified individuals with disabilities. The key words here are reasonable and qualified. The person must be able to perform the essential job functions with or without accommodation. The employer isn't required to guarantee a job regardless of qualifications. They don't have to provide unlimited modifications at any cost. That's called undue hardship, and it's the limit. They don't have to create alternative jobs. They do have to make reasonable adjustments, modified schedules, accessible equipment, workplace modifications. Reasonable means it works for both sides. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. ADA questions hinge on reasonable accommodation and essential functions, not unlimited accommodation or guaranteed employment. Quick recall hook: ADA =, reasonable, not unlimited. 11. A growing technology company needs to ensure they have the right employees available at the right time to meet their expansion goals. The HR team must implement a systematic approach for developing and implementing plans to meet organizational needs. What is the primary purpose of human resource planning in organizations? A. Ensure right people at right time. B. Maximize employee terminations. C. Reduce all training costs. D. Eliminate recruitment needs. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer: A. Ensure right people at right time. Explanation: option A is correct because human resource planning involves developing and implementing plans to ensure the right number and type of individuals are available at the right time. Option B is incorrect because human resource planning aims to optimize workforce composition rather than maximize terminations, which would be contrary to effective talent management practices. Option C is incorrect because while human resource planning helps manage costs, its primary purpose is ensuring appropriate staffing levels rather than simply reducing training expenditures across the organisation. Option D is incorrect because human resource planning actually helps identify recruitment needs rather than eliminating them, forecasting when and what types of employees are required. Human resource planning has one primary purpose: making sure you have the right people at the right time. That's it. It's a systematic approach to forecasting what you'll need and developing plans to meet those needs. Maximizing terminations makes no sense. That's the opposite of planning. Reducing training costs might be a side effect of good planning, but it's not the purpose. Eliminating recruitment needs is impossible. Planning actually identifies when you need to recruit. The goal is getting workforce supply to match demand when you need it. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. HRP questions that ask about purpose or primary goal always point to having the right people at the right time. Quick recall hook: HRP =, right people, right time. 12. An HR professional is explaining the four-phase model of human resource planning to new team members. The phases can be remembered using the acronym that helps identify each step. What is the correct sequence of phases in the human resource planning process? A. Programming objectives, data. Evaluating. B. Evaluating data programming objectives. C. Data. Objectives programming evaluating. D. Objectives evaluating data programming. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, C. Data objectives programming evaluating. Explanation option C is correct because the four phases of HRP follow the DOPE sequence: developing data, establishing objectives, designing programs, and controlling and evaluating plans. Option A is incorrect because this sequence does not follow the logical progression of a human resource planning, which must begin with gathering and analysing data before other phases. Option B is incorrect because evaluation occurs at the end of the HRP process as the fourth phase rather than at the beginning, where data gathering and analysis must occur. Option D is incorrect because objectives cannot be established until data has been gathered and analysed to understand the current workforce situation and forecasted needs. The four phases of HR planning follow the DOPE sequence: data, objectives, programming, evaluating. First, you gather and analyse data about your current workforce. Second, you set objectives based on what you learned. Third, you design programs to achieve those objectives. Fourth, you evaluate whether your plans worked. You can't set objectives without data. You can't design programs without objectives. You can't evaluate without something to measure against. The sequence matters. DOPE keeps it straight. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Any question about HRP phases or sequence? Remember DOPE, data objectives programming evaluating. Quick recall hook, HRP phases = DOPE. 13. A multinational corporation wants to forecast their future staffing needs using input from multiple experts who do not meet face-to-face. An intermediary passes each forecast to other experts, who then revise their predictions based on shared information. Which forecasting technique is the organisation using? A. Managerial estimates approach. B. Delphi technique. C. Nominal grouping technique. D. Simple linear regression. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Delphi technique. Explanation. Option B is correct because the Delphi technique involves experts taking turns presenting forecasts, while an intermediary passes each forecast to others, who then revise accordingly. Option A is incorrect because managerial estimates are typically made by top management, using a top-down approach, rather than involving multiple experts revising forecasts through an intermediary. Option C is incorrect because nominal grouping technique requires people to sit around a table together and independently list ideas before sharing, rather than using an intermediary. Option D is incorrect because simple linear regression is a statistical projection method based on past relationships between variables rather than an expert-based forecasting technique. The Delphi technique is a forecasting method where experts give predictions without meeting face-to-face. An intermediary collects each expert's forecast, shares it anonymously with the others, and they revise their predictions based on the group input. This cycle repeats until consensus emerges. Managerial estimates come from top management, using a top-down approach. No intermediary, no rounds of revision. Nominal grouping has people sitting together at a table. Simple linear regression is a statistical method using historical data, not expert opinions. Delphi is the anonymous, intermediary-based, iterative expert technique. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. When you see experts, intermediary, and no face-to-face meeting, the answer is Delphi technique. Quick recall hook, anonymous experts plus intermediary, =Delphi. 14. A company wants to project future HR needs by examining the relationship between their past sales figures and their historical employment levels. This approach assumes that patterns from the past will continue into the future. Which statistical forecasting method would best accomplish this goal? A. Stochastic analysis. B. Delphi technique. C. Time series analysis. D. Simple linear regression. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, D. Simple linear regression. Explanation. Option D is correct because simple linear regression projects future demand based on a past relationship between the organization's employment level and a variable like sales. Option A is incorrect because stochastic analysis combines the likelihood of landing contracts with HR requirements for each contract rather than examining employment and sales relationships. Option B is incorrect because the Delphi technique is a judgmental forecasting method using expert opinions rather than a statistical method based on historical data relationships. Option C is incorrect because time series analysis uses past staffing levels directly to project future needs rather than examining the relationship between employment and another variable. Simple linear regression projects future HR needs based on the relationship between employment levels and another variable, like sales. You look at historical data, find the pattern, and extend it forward. If past data shows that for every million in sales you need 10 employees, you can forecast future staffing based on projected sales. Stochastic analysis deals with contract probabilities. Delphi uses expert opinions, not statistics. Time series analysis only looks at past staffing levels directly without connecting them to another variable. Linear regression specifically examines the relationship between two variables. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. When a question mentions relationship between sales and employment, or past patterns to predict future, think simple linear regression. Quick recall hook, sales to employment relationship equal sign. Linear regression. 15. A retail company needs to identify potential candidates to fill key management positions over the next 5 years. They want a flexible and developmental approach that focuses on long-term talent development rather than simply identifying immediate replacements. Which planning method would best meet their needs? A. Replacement planning. B. Managerial estimates. C. Succession planning. D. Job rotation programs. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, C. Succession planning. Explanation. Option C is correct because succession planning tends to be longer term, more developmental, and more flexible than replacement planning, which focuses on immediate replacement identification. Option A is incorrect because replacement planning uses charts showing current occupants and likely replacements for immediate needs rather than long-term developmental talent cultivation. Option B is incorrect because managerial estimates is a demand forecasting technique used to predict staffing needs rather than a method for developing and identifying future leadership talent. Option D is incorrect because job rotation programs are training methods that expose employees to various jobs rather than formal planning methods for identifying long-term leadership candidates. Succession planning is the long-term developmental approach to identifying and growing future leaders. It focuses on building talent over years, not just naming immediate backups. Replacement planning is shorter term. It uses charts showing who would step in tomorrow if someone left. Managerial estimates forecast staffing numbers, not leadership development. Job rotation exposes people to different roles, but isn't a formal planning method for identifying successors. When the question emphasizes 5 years, flexible, developmental, and long-term talent, that's succession planning territory. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Long-term and developmental signal succession planning. Immediate. and charts signal replacement planning. Quick recall hook. Long-term leadership equals sign succession. 16. A healthcare organisation needs to fill a nursing supervisor position and wants to hire someone who already understands the company culture and patient care protocols. They also want to demonstrate that employees have opportunities for career advancement. Which recruitment source would best address both of these organisational priorities? A. Employment agency referrals. B. Internal promotion. C. Walk-in applicants. D. College recruitment programs. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, B. Internal promotion. Explanation. Option B is correct because internal employees are more qualified due to familiarity with people, procedures and policies, and promotion gives employees advancement opportunities, increasing loyalty. Option A is incorrect because employment agencies provide external candidates who lack familiarity with company culture and would not demonstrate internal career advancement opportunities to staff. Option C is incorrect because walk-in applicants are external candidates who may know less about specific jobs and would not address the goal of showing employees advancement opportunities. Option D is incorrect because college recruitment provides entry-level external candidates rather than experienced internal staff familiar with company protocols and seeking advancement. Internal promotion is the clear answer when an organisation wants someone who already knows the culture and wants to show employees they can advance. Current employees understand procedures, people and policies. Promoting them demonstrates career paths exist, which increases loyalty. Employment agencies provide outsiders. Walk-ins are external candidates who may know nothing about the organisation. College recruitment brings in entry-level people without company experience. Internal promotion checks both boxes. Institutional knowledge and advancement demonstration. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. When a question mentions already understands the culture plus career advancement opportunities, internal promotion is your answer. Quick recall hook. Culture knowledge plus advancement equals sign internal promotion. 17. An HR manager is conducting a job analysis to ensure their recruitment documents contain accurate information. The analysis will produce two primary outcomes that help identify what positions require and what candidates should possess. What are the two primary outcomes of a job analysis? A. Training plan and compensation schedule. B. Performance appraisal and bonus structure. C. Interview questions and reference forms. D. Job description and job specification. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, D. Job description and job specification. Explanation. Option D is correct because the two primary outcomes of job analysis are the job description, which summarizes responsibilities, and the job specification, which indicates candidate requirements. Option A is incorrect because training plans and compensation schedules are developed using job analysis information rather than being direct primary outcomes of the job analysis process itself. Option B is incorrect because performance appraisals and bonus structures utilize job analysis data but are separate HR functions rather than direct products of the job analysis. Option C is incorrect because interview questions and reference forms are selection tools that may use job analysis information rather than being the primary documented outcomes of analysis. Job analysis produces two primary outputs, the job description and the job specification. The job description lists what the job involves, duties, responsibilities, working conditions. The job specification lists what the candidate needs, education, experience, skills, abilities. Training plans use this information but aren't outputs. Performance appraisals and bonus structures are separate HR functions. Interview questions and reference forms are selection tools that use job analysis data. The direct products of job analysis are the description and the specification, what the job is, and what the person needs. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Job analysis outputs are always description and specification. Description =, job duties, specification =, candidate requirements. Quick recall hook. Job analysis =, description plus specification. 18. A technology company is developing candidate requirements for a software developer position. The HR team needs to identify the theoretical understanding, developed proficiencies, and enduring qualities that enable task performance. Which three elements make up the KSA framework used in job analysis? A. Knowledge, skills, and abilities. B. Kindness, stamina, and attitude. C. Keyboard, software, and applications. D. Key results, standards, and assessments. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, A. Knowledge, skills, and abilities. Explanation. Option A is correct because KSAs represent knowledge as theoretical understanding, skills as proficiencies developed through training, and abilities as stable qualities enabling task performance. Option B is incorrect because kindness, stamina, and attitude are personal characteristics that may be desirable, but do not represent the established KSA framework used in job analysis. Option C is incorrect because keyboards, software, and applications are physical tools or programs rather than the human capability elements represented by the KSA framework terminology. Option D is incorrect because key results, standards, and assessments relate to performance measurement rather than the candidate capability framework identified through job analysis. KSA stands for knowledge, skills, and abilities, the three elements used in job analysis to define what candidates need. Knowledge is theoretical understanding, what you know from education or study. Skills are proficiencies developed through training and practice, what you can do. Abilities are stable personal qualities that enable task performance, enduring traits like reasoning or physical capabilities. The other options are nonsense distractors. KSA is a foundational HR framework for building job specifications and evaluating candidates. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. KSA questions always mean knowledge, skills, abilities. Know the definitions. Knowledge =, learned, skills =, practiced, abilities =, inherent. Quick recall hook. KSA =, know, skilled, able. 19. A marketing firm wants to increase qualified applicants while reducing recruitment costs. Current employees often know talented professionals in their networks who would fit the company culture. Which recruitment method leverages existing staff connections while providing realistic job information to potential candidates? A. College career fairs. B. Trade journal advertising. C. Employee referral programs. D. Public employment agencies. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, C. Employee referral programs. Explanation. Option C is correct because employee referral programs involve rewarding employees for referring skilled applicants, provide low cost per hire, and allow realistic job previews. Option A is incorrect because college career fairs are time-consuming, expensive, and primarily target entry-level candidates rather than leveraging existing employee professional networks effectively. Option B is incorrect because trade journal advertising enables targeting specific professional groups, but is expensive and does not leverage existing employee relationships and network connections. Option D is incorrect because public employment agencies provide free job listings, but do not utilize current employee networks or provide the realistic job previews that referrals offer. Employee referral programs leverage your existing workforce's networks to find candidates. Your employees know talented people, and they can give realistic previews of what working at the company is actually like. Referral programs have low cost per hire compared to other methods. College career fairs are expensive and time-consuming. Trade journal advertising costs money and doesn't tap personal networks. Public employment agencies offer free listings but don't provide the insider perspective that employees can share with their contacts. Referrals hit 3 targets: network connections, realistic job information, and cost efficiency. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. When you see existing employee networks plus realistic job preview plus low cost, the answer is employee referral programs. Quick recall. Hook. Employee networks plus low cost equals sign referrals. 20. A construction company regularly moves employees between project teams to expose them to different aspects of operations without permanent reassignment. This temporary practice helps reduce burnout and builds diverse experience across the organisation. Which internal recruitment method is the company using? A. Permanent transfer policy. B. Job rotation. C. Promotion from within. D. Apprenticeship training. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer: B. Job rotation. Explanation: option B is correct because job rotation is usually temporary and moves employees between 2 or more assignments at regular intervals to expose them to various aspects. Option A is incorrect because transfers are typically permanent moves between departments without promotion, rather than temporary, rotational assignments designed to provide varied experience. Option C is incorrect because promotion from within involves moving employees to higher positions rather than temporarily rotating them through various assignments at similar levels. Option D is incorrect because apprenticeship training involves new workers learning under experienced technicians rather than rotating existing employees through different organisational assignments. Job rotation temporarily moves employees between different assignments at regular intervals. The key word is temporary. People rotate through roles, then often return or move to another rotation. This builds diverse experience and reduces burnout from doing the same thing constantly. Permanent transfers are exactly what they sound like. Permanent moves, not rotation. Promotion from within moves people up, not sideways through different roles at similar levels. Apprenticeship training pairs new workers with experienced mentors, which is different from rotating existing employees through assignments. Rotation is temporary, lateral, and developmental. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Temporary, regular intervals, and different assignments all point to job rotation. Quick recall hook. Temporary plus different roles equals sign rotation. 21. A company administers a typing test to all administrative assistant candidates, and candidates consistently score similarly when retaking the test under the same conditions. The test produces stable results over time, regardless of when it is administered. Which measurement characteristic does this selection test demonstrate? A. Content validity. B. Construct validity. C. Criterion validity. D. Reliability. Do you know the answer? Correct answer: D. Reliability. Explanation: option D is correct because reliability refers to the consistency or stability of a test over time, ensuring the instrument yields the same estimate on repeated uses under identical conditions. Option A is incorrect because content validity estimates relevance of a predictor as an indicator of performance based on job relatedness rather than measuring consistency of scores over time. Option B is incorrect because construct validity demonstrates a relationship between a selection procedure and a psychological trait rather than measuring test score consistency over time. Option C is incorrect because criterion validity examines how much a predictor relates to job success measures, rather than assessing whether test scores remain stable across administrations. Let's talk about test reliability. When candidates take a typing test and get similar scores every time they retake it under the same conditions, that test is reliable. Reliability means consistency, the test produces stable, repeatable results. It's not about whether the test measures the right thing, it's about whether it measures the same thing consistently. Content validity asks if the test matches job requirements. Construct validity connects tests to psychological traits. Criterion validity links test scores to actual job success. But reliability? That's purely about consistency over time and across administrations. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. When you see consistent, stable, or same results over time, the answer is reliability. Quick recall hook, same scores every time, equal sign, reliability. 22. A pharmaceutical company uses a personality assessment that has been proven to predict sales performance through statistical correlation between test scores and actual job outcomes over many years. The assessment has demonstrated strong positive correlation between candidate scores and subsequent success. Which type of validity does this assessment possess? A. Empirical validity. B. Content validity. C. Face validity. D. Procedural validity. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, A. Empirical validity. Explanation option A is correct because empirical validity describes the relationship between a test score and a job performance, measuring how much a predictor relates to a criterion of success. Option B is incorrect because content validity estimates job relatedness by examining how closely test items match actual job requirements rather than correlating scores with performance outcomes. Option C is incorrect because face validity refers to whether a test appears to measure what it claims rather than demonstrating statistical correlation between scores and job performance. Option D is incorrect because procedural validity is not an established validity type in selection testing terminology and does not describe criterion-related correlation with job success. This question is about empirical validity, also called criterion validity. When a personality assessment has proven statistical correlation between test scores and actual job performance over years of data, that's empirical validity. You're measuring whether the test actually predicts success on the job. Content validity checks if test items match job tasks. That's expert judgment, not statistics. Face validity is just whether the test looks legit to candidates. Procedural validity isn't a real term in selection testing. Empirical validity is the statistical proof that scores correlate with outcomes. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. When a question mentions statistical correlation, proven to predict or relationship to job performance, think empirical or criterion validity. Quick recall hook, statistical proof of prediction, equal sign empirical validity. 23. An accounting firm requires all candidates for auditor positions to complete a spreadsheet exercise that mirrors actual job tasks. The test directly samples the knowledge and skills listed in the job description for daily auditing work. Which type of validity is demonstrated when selection tests measure skills actually required on the job? A. Construct validity. B. Predictive validity. C. Content validity. D. Concurrent validity. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, C. Content validity. Explanation: option C is correct because content validity estimates how closely predictors measuring knowledge, skills, and abilities relate to those actually required on the job, establishing job relatedness through expert assessment. Option A is incorrect because construct validity demonstrates relationships between selection procedures and psychological traits rather than direct sampling of job-required knowledge and skills. Option B is incorrect because predictive validity is a type of criterion validity that uses future performance data rather than establishing relevance through direct job task sampling. Option D is incorrect because concurrent validity collects predictor and criterion data at the same time, rather than demonstrating that test content directly reflects job requirements. Content validity is about job relatedness through direct sampling. When an accounting firm gives candidates a spreadsheet exercise that mirrors actual auditing tasks, they're testing content validity. The test directly samples what people will actually do on the job. Construct validity measures psychological traits. Predictive and concurrent validity are types of criterion validity. They correlate scores with performance data. Content validity doesn't need statistical proof. It needs expert assessment that the test content matches job requirements. If the test tasks look like real job tasks, that's content validity. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. When the test mirrors actual job tasks or directly samples job skills, the answer is content validity. Quick recall, hook, test mirrors job =, content validity. 24. An HR manager reviews a report showing that many new hires have undisclosed criminal backgrounds and falsified employment histories. The manager wants to implement additional screening procedures to verify candidate information before making job offers. Which selection instrument addresses these verification concerns? A. Reference checks only. B. Structured interviews. C. Weighted application blanks. D. Background checks. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, D. Background checks. Explanation. Option D is correct because background checks include criminal history verification, employment records, credit history, and other verification activities to confirm candidate information accuracy. Option A is incorrect because reference checks involve contacting individuals provided by applicants and may not uncover information that applicants choose not to disclose or falsify. Option B is incorrect because structured interviews assess candidate responses to predetermined questions rather than independently verifying criminal history and employment record accuracy. Option C is incorrect because weighted application blanks prioritize certain application information as predictors rather than independently verifying the accuracy of information candidates provide. When you need to verify that candidates aren't lying about criminal history or employment records, you need background checks. Background checks independently verify information, criminal records, employment history, credit history, education credentials. Reference checks only contact people the candidate provides. If someone's hiding something, their references won't tell you. Structured interviews assess responses, not verify facts. Weighted application blanks prioritize certain information, but don't independently confirm it. Background checks are the verification tool. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Verify, confirm, criminal history, and employment records all point to background checks. Quick recall hook. Verify facts =, background check. 25. A manufacturing company is designing their selection process and wants to minimize the risk of hiring employees who may endanger co-workers. The company could face legal liability if they knew or should have known about a candidate's prior history of dangerous workplace behavior. What term describes this employer liability concern? A. Negligent hiring. B. Disparate impact. C. Constructive discharge. D. Vicarious liability. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, A. Negligent hiring. Explanation. Option A is correct because negligent hiring occurs when an employer knew or should have known that an employee had a prior history of dangerous behavior on the job. Option B is incorrect because disparate impact refers to employment practices that appear neutral but disproportionately affect protected groups rather than liability for hiring dangerous individuals. Option C is incorrect because constructive discharge occurs when working conditions become so intolerable that employees feel forced to resign rather than addressing pre-employment screening failures. Option D is incorrect because vicarious liability holds employers responsible for employee actions during employment rather than specifically addressing failures in pre-employment background verification. Negligent hiring is the liability risk when an employer hires someone with a dangerous history they knew about or should have known about. If that employee then harms co-workers and you fail to do proper screening, you're liable for negligent hiring. Disparate impact is about neutral policies that disproportionately affect protected groups. Different concept entirely. Constructive discharge is when conditions get so bad someone feels forced to quit. Vicarious liability makes employers responsible for employee actions during work. But negligent hiring specifically addresses the failure to screen before hiring. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Knew or should have known, plus prior history of dangerous behaviour, equals negligent hiring. Quick recall hook. Hired danger you should have caught = negligent hiring. 26. A national restaurant chain experiences high turnover among new servers who report feeling unprepared for customer interactions. Management wants to implement a systematic approach to improving employee capabilities that follows instructional design principles. Which 5-phase model provides the framework for developing effective training programs in organizations? A. Plan. Do, check, act cycle. B. SMART to goal framework. C. ADDIE model. D. Kirkpatrick evaluation method. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, C. ADDIE model. Explanation. Option C is correct because the ADDIE model consists of 5 phases including analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation that guide a systematic training program creation. Option A is incorrect because plan, do, check, act is a continuous improvement cycle used in quality management rather than a comprehensive instructional design framework for training. Option B is incorrect because SMART goals provide criteria for setting objectives rather than offering a comprehensive 5-phase model for developing complete training programs. Option D is incorrect because the Kirkpatrick method is used to evaluate training effectiveness after implementation rather than serving as a framework for designing training programs. The ADDIE model is the 5-phase framework for developing training programs: analysis, design, development, implementation, evaluation. It's the systematic instructional design approach. PDCA, plan, do, check, act, is for continuous improvement in quality management. Different purpose. SMART is for goal-setting criteria, not training development. Kirkpatrick is for evaluating training after it's done, not designing it. When someone asks about developing effective training programs systematically, ADDIE is the framework. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. 5 phases, instructional design, or systematic training development all point to ADDIE. Quick recall hook, training development framework = ADDIE. 27. During the first phase of developing a new customer service training program, the HR team must identify performance gaps and determine what employees need to learn. This initial assessment examines organizational, task, and person factors. What is the first phase of the ADDIE training model? A. Analysis. B. Design. C. Development. D. Implementation. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, A. Analysis. Explanation option. A is correct because analysis is the first ADDIE phase where training needs are identified through assessment of organizational, task, and person factors to determine gaps. Option B is incorrect because design is the second phase where training objectives and instructional strategies are determined after the initial analysis phase has been completed. Option C is incorrect because development is the third phase where training materials and content are created based on the design specifications established in earlier phases. Option D is incorrect because implementation is the fourth phase where the training program is actually delivered to employees after analysis, design and development are completed. The first phase of ADDIE is analysis. Before you can design anything, you need to understand what the problem actually is. Analysis identifies performance gaps by looking at three factors: organizational needs, task requirements, and person capabilities. What does the organization need? What does the job require? What can employees currently do? Design comes second. That's where you set objectives. Development is third, creating materials. Implementation is fourth, delivering the training. But it all starts with analysis. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Identify gaps, determine needs, or first phase of ADDIE always means analysis. Quick recall hook. ADDIE starts with an =sign analysis. 28. A manufacturing company wants to evaluate whether their safety training actually reduced workplace accidents over the past year. They need to measure real organizational outcomes rather than just participant satisfaction or learning. Which level of Kirkpatrick's evaluation model assesses the business impact of training programs? A. Reaction level. B. Learning level. C. Behavior level. D. Results level. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, D. Results level. Explanation. Option D is correct because the results level measures the tangible outcomes of training, such as improved productivity, reduced accidents, and other business performance indicators. Option A is incorrect because the reaction level measures how participants felt about the training experience rather than assessing actual business outcomes and organizational impact. Option B is incorrect because the learning level measures what knowledge or skills participants acquired during training, rather than evaluating real-world business performance changes. Option C is incorrect because the behavior level measures whether participants apply what they learned on the job, rather than measuring ultimate business results and outcomes. Kirkpatrick's model has 4 levels for evaluating training. When you want to know if safety training actually reduced workplace accidents, you're asking about results. Level 4. That's the business impact level. Level 1 is reaction. Did participants like the training? Level 2 is learning. Did they acquire knowledge? Level 3 is behavior. Are they applying it on the job? Level 4 is results. Did it change organizational outcomes? Fewer accidents, higher productivity, better quality. Those are results. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Business impact, organizational outcomes, reduced accidents, or productivity improvement all point to Kirkpatrick's results level. Quick recall hook. Business outcomes =sign results level. 29. A hospital wants new nurses to practice emergency procedures without risking patient safety. They need a training method that replicates real work situations in a controlled environment where mistakes can be made safely. Which training method creates realistic practice opportunities without real-world consequences? A. Job rotation programs. B. Simulation training. C. Lecture-based instruction. D. Mentoring relationships. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Simulation training. Explanation. Option B is correct because simulation training provides a setting that replicates job demands and allows trainees to practice procedures in controlled environments without real consequences. Option A is incorrect because job rotation moves employees between different positions for varied experience rather than creating controlled practice environments for specific procedures. Option C is incorrect because lecture-based instruction delivers information verbally but does not provide hands-on practice opportunities in realistic controlled settings for skill development. Option D is incorrect because mentoring involves guidance from experienced employees but does not specifically create simulated environments for practicing procedures without real-world risk. Simulation training creates realistic practice environments without real-world consequences. A hospital can have nurses practice emergency procedures on mannequins or computer simulations without any patient risk. That's the whole point. You can make mistakes safely. Job rotation moves people between real jobs, not simulated ones. Lectures deliver information, but don't provide hands-on practice. Mentoring gives guidance, but doesn't create controlled practice environments. Simulation is specifically about replicating job demands in a safe space where errors don't cause harm. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Practice without risk. Controlled environment, or replicate job demands safely, means simulation training, quick recall hook. Safe practice. Environment equals sign simulation. 30. A technology company assigns experienced senior engineers to guide newer employees through career challenges and professional growth over an extended period. This developmental relationship provides advice, support, and knowledge transfer between generations of workers. What type of developmental relationship is this company using? A. Job shadowing. B. Coaching. C. Apprenticeship. D. Mentoring. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, D. Mentoring. Explanation. Option D is correct because mentoring involves experienced employees providing guidance, advice and support to less experienced employees for long-term professional development and growth. Option A is incorrect because job shadowing involves observing another employee perform their job for a short period rather than establishing ongoing developmental guidance relationships. Option B is incorrect because coaching typically focuses on specific skill improvement and performance enhancement rather than broad career guidance and long-term professional development. Option C is incorrect because apprenticeship is a formal training program combining classroom instruction with on-the-job training rather than a developmental guidance relationship. Mentoring is the long-term developmental relationship where experienced employees guide newer ones through career challenges. It's about professional growth, advice, support and knowledge transfer over an extended period. Job shadowing is short-term observation, not ongoing guidance. Coaching focuses on specific skill improvement for performance, not broad career development. Apprenticeship is formal training combining classroom and hands-on learning, structured differently than mentoring relationships. Mentoring is the ongoing, career-focused guidance relationship. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Long-term guidance, career development, experienced to less experienced, all point to mentoring. Quick recall hook, long-term career guidance equals sign mentoring. 31. A retail company implements annual reviews where managers rate employees on job duties, provide feedback, and make decisions about raises and promotions. This systematic process measures worker contributions against established standards. What is the primary purpose of performance appraisal in organizations? A. Measure and improve performance. B. Determine training budgets. C. Calculate overtime payments. D. Schedule employee vacations. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. A. Measure and improve performance. Explanation. Option A is correct because performance appraisal is the method for measuring, evaluating, and influencing employee job-related attributes and behaviours to improve organisational effectiveness. Option B is incorrect because while appraisals may identify training needs, determining training budgets is a separate financial planning function rather than the primary appraisal purpose. Option C is incorrect because calculating overtime payments is a payroll function based on hours worked rather than a purpose of performance measurement and evaluation systems. Option D is incorrect because scheduling vacations is an administrative task unrelated to the systematic measurement and evaluation of employee job performance and contributions. Performance appraisal exists to measure and improve performance. That's its primary purpose. The systematic process evaluates how employees contribute against standards, then uses that information to get better results. Determining training budgets is a financial planning function. Calculating overtime is payroll. Scheduling vacations is administrative. Appraisals may identify training needs or inform compensation, but the core purpose is measuring performance and using that measurement to drive improvement. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Performance appraisal questions about primary purpose. Point 2, measuring and improving performance. Quick recall hook. Appraisal purpose equal sign measure plus improve. 32. A consulting firm uses a performance system where each employee receives feedback from supervisors, peers, subordinates, and clients. This comprehensive approach gathers multiple viewpoints to provide a complete picture of employee performance. Which performance appraisal method collects input from all directions around the employee? A. Management by objectives. B. Graphic rating scale. C. 360-degree feedback. D. Critical incident method. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, C. 360-degree feedback. Explanation. Option C is correct because 360-degree feedback collects performance information from multiple sources, including supervisors, peers, subordinates, and sometimes customers or clients. Option A is incorrect because management by objectives focuses on setting and evaluating goal achievement between manager and employee rather than gathering multi-source feedback. Option B is incorrect because graphic rating scales have supervisors rate employees on various dimensions using numerical scales rather than collecting input from multiple organizational levels. Option D is incorrect because the critical incident method documents specific positive and negative behaviors rather than systematically gathering feedback from multiple rater perspectives. 360-degree feedback collects performance input from all directions around an employee, supervisors above, peers beside, subordinates below, and sometimes customers or clients. It's called 360 because feedback comes from all angles. Management by objectives is about setting and achieving goals between manager and employee, one direction. Graphic rating scales use numerical ratings from supervisors only. Critical incident method documents specific behavioral events. 360 is the multi-source, all directions approach. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Multiple sources, supervisors, peers, and subordinates, or all direction signals 360-degree feedback. Quick recall hook. Feedback from all angles equal sign 360. 33. A warehouse manager keeps a written log documenting specific instances when employees performed exceptionally well or made significant errors throughout the year. These documented events provide concrete examples for annual performance discussions. Which appraisal method records specific positive and negative employee behaviors? A. Force distribution method. B. Behaviorally anchored scales. C. Paired comparison method. D. Critical incident method. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, D. Critical incident method. Explanation. Option D is correct because the critical incident method requires managers to document specific, positive and negative events as they occur to provide concrete behavioral examples. Option A is incorrect because force distribution requires rating employees according to a predetermined distribution curve rather than documenting specific behavioral incidents over time. Option B is incorrect because behaviorally anchored rating scales use specific behavioral descriptions as rating anchors rather than documenting incidents as they naturally occur. Option C is incorrect because paired comparison ranks employees by comparing each person against every other person, rather than documenting specific behavioural events throughout the year. The critical incident method requires managers to document specific, positive and negative behaviours as they happen throughout the year. You keep a log of concrete examples: when someone handled a crisis well, when someone made a significant error. Come review time, you have real evidence to discuss. Forced distribution makes you fit everyone into a curve. Behaviourally anchored scales use preset behavioural descriptions as rating points. Paired comparison ranks everyone against everyone else. Critical incident is about documenting specific events in real time. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Written log, document specific incidents, or positive and negative events, means critical incident method. Quick recall hook. Log of specific events equals sign critical incident. 34. A supervisor consistently rates all employees as average performers regardless of their actual contributions, avoiding both high and low ratings. This tendency reduces the usefulness of performance data for making meaningful distinctions between employees. Which common rating error is this supervisor demonstrating? A. Halo effect. B. Recency bias. C. Central tendency. D. Leniency error. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, C. Central tendency. Explanation: option C is correct because central tendency error occurs when raters avoid extreme judgments and rate everyone as average, failing to distinguish between high and low performers. Option A is incorrect because halo effect occurs when one positive characteristic influences ratings on all other dimensions rather than clustering all ratings toward the middle. Option B is incorrect because recency bias gives more weight to recent events rather than describing the pattern of avoiding extreme ratings and clustering toward average. Option D is incorrect because leniency error involves giving everyone higher ratings than deserved rather than specifically clustering all ratings around the middle average point. Central tendency error happens when a rater avoids extremes and rates everyone as average. Every employee gets middle ratings regardless of actual performance. This destroys the usefulness of appraisal data because you can't distinguish top performers from poor ones. Halo effect is when one good trait inflates all ratings. Recency bias gives too much weight to recent events. Leniency error rates everyone high, not middle. Central tendency clusters everyone toward the center. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. All average ratings, avoids extremes, or no distinction between employees signals central tendency error. Quick recall hook. Everyone rated average equals sign central tendency. 35. A manager rates an employee highly on communication, teamwork and technical skills primarily because the employee always arrives early and dresses professionally. One positive impression has influenced evaluations across unrelated performance dimensions. Which appraisal error allows a single characteristic to affect multiple ratings? A. Halo effect. B. Strictness error. C. Contrast effect. D. Similar to me bias. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, A. Halo effect. Explanation. Option A is correct because the halo effect occurs when a rater's positive impression of one characteristic causes the rater to inflate ratings on other unrelated dimensions. Option B is incorrect because strictness error involves consistently rating employees lower than their actual performance warrants rather than letting one trait influence multiple dimensions. Option C is incorrect because contrast effect occurs when ratings are influenced by comparison to other employees rather than by one characteristic affecting ratings on other traits. Option D is incorrect because similar to me bias involves rating employees higher who share characteristics with the rater rather than one positive trait influencing all other ratings. The halo effect occurs when one positive impression spills over into ratings on unrelated dimensions. Someone arrives early and dresses well, so suddenly they get high marks for communication, teamwork, and technical skills, even though punctuality and appearance have nothing to do with those abilities. Strictness error rates everyone too low. Contrast effect compares employees to each other unfairly. Similar to me bias favours people like the rater. Halo is specifically about one positive trait contaminating all the other ratings. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. One characteristic influences all ratings, or positive impression affects unrelated dimensions means halo effect. Quick recall hook. One good trait colours everything =, halo. 36. A company experiencing declining market share hires consultants to help transform their culture, improve collaboration, and increase adaptability to changing business conditions. This planned effort uses behavioural science knowledge to improve organisational effectiveness. What is organisational development primarily designed to accomplish? A. Reduce employee headcount. B. Eliminate all workplace conflict. C. Increase organisational effectiveness. D. Standardise all job descriptions. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. C. Increase organisational effectiveness. Explanation. Option C is correct because organisational development is a planned effort applying behavioural science to improve organisational effectiveness and help organisations adapt to change. Option A is incorrect because organisational development focuses on improving effectiveness through cultural and behavioural change rather than simply reducing the number of employees. Option B is incorrect because organisational development helps manage conflict constructively rather than eliminating all conflict, which would be unrealistic and potentially harmful to innovation. Option D is incorrect because standardising job descriptions is an administrative HR task rather than a behavioural science approach to improving overall organisational effectiveness. Organisational development is a planned effort using behavioural science to improve organisational effectiveness. When a company brings in consultants to transform culture, improve collaboration, and increase adaptability, that's OD. The goal isn't headcount reduction, that's downsizing. Eliminating all conflict is unrealistic and not even desirable. Standardising job descriptions is administrative HR work. OD is about making the whole organisation work better through planned behavioural and cultural change. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Planned effort, behavioural science, improve effectiveness, or organisational change all point to organisational development. Quick recall hook. Planned change for effectiveness =, OD. 37. A manufacturing company is introducing new automated equipment that will change how employees perform their jobs. Management wants to follow a structured approach to help employees accept and adapt to this workplace change. According to Lewin's change model, what is the first step in the organisational change process? A. Refreezing. B. Moving. C. Implementing. D. Unfreezing. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. D. Unfreezing. Explanation. Option D is correct because unfreezing is the first step in Lewin's model, where the organisation creates awareness of the need for change and reduces resistance to upcoming changes. Option A is incorrect because refreezing is the final step where new behaviours are stabilised and reinforced after the change has been implemented and accepted by employees. Option B is incorrect because moving is the second step where actual changes are implemented after employees have been prepared through the unfreezing process. Option C is incorrect because implementing is not a specific step in Lewin's three-step model, which uses the terminology unfreezing, moving, and refreezing. Lewin's change model has 3 steps: unfreezing, moving, refreezing. The first step is always unfreezing. Before people will change, they need to understand why change is necessary. Unfreezing creates awareness and reduces resistance to what's coming. Moving is the second step, actually implementing the changes. Refreezing is third, stabilizing the new behaviors so they stick. Implementing isn't Lewin's terminology. The sequence is unfreeze, move, refreeze. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Lewin's first step is always unfreezing. Remember, unfreeze before you can move. Quick recall hook. Lewin's first step =unfreeze. 38. A healthcare organisation brings together representatives from nursing, administration, physicians and support staff to collaboratively redesign patient care processes. All stakeholders participate in planning and implementing improvements that affect the entire system. Which OD intervention engages the whole organisation in collaborative change efforts? A. Large-scale intervention. B. Process consultation. C. Team-building exercises. D. Individual coaching sessions. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, A. Large-scale intervention. Explanation. Option A is correct, because large-scale interventions bring together large numbers of employees from across the organisation to collaboratively work on system-wide changes and improvements. Option B is incorrect because process consultation involves a consultant helping a group understand and improve its own processes rather than engaging the entire organisation simultaneously. Option C is incorrect because team building focuses on improving dynamics within specific teams rather than engaging representatives from across the entire organisational system. Option D is incorrect because individual coaching sessions focus on personal development for specific employees rather than involving multiple stakeholders in collaborative organisational change. Large-scale interventions bring together people from across the entire organisation to work on system-wide changes collaboratively. When a healthcare organisation gets nursing, administration, physicians and support staff all in the same room to redesign processes, that's a large-scale intervention. Process consultation helps specific groups understand their own dynamics. Team building improves dynamics within particular teams. Individual coaching develops single employees. Large scale is about engaging the whole system at once. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Whole organisation, representatives from all areas, or system-wide collaborative change means large-scale intervention. Quick recall hook. Whole organisation together =large scale. 39. Employees at a software company resist adopting a new project management system because they are comfortable with existing processes and fear the unknown. This resistance threatens to derail the implementation effort despite management support. What is the most common barrier to successful organisational change initiatives? A. Insufficient budget allocation. B. Lack of technology infrastructure. C. Employee resistance to change. D. Regulatory compliance requirements. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, C. Employee resistance to change. Explanation. Option C is correct because employee resistance is the most frequently cited barrier to organisational change, stemming from fear of the unknown and comfort with existing routines. Option A is incorrect because while budget constraints can limit change efforts, employee resistance is more commonly identified as the primary barrier to successful organisational change. Option B is incorrect because technology limitations are specific implementation challenges rather than the most common barrier that affects change initiatives across all types of organisations. Option D is incorrect because regulatory requirements may shape change implementation, but employee resistance remains the most universally reported barrier to organisational change efforts. Employee resistance is the most common barrier to organisational change. People get comfortable with how things are. They fear the unknown. They worry about their skills becoming obsolete. Budget constraints matter, technology gaps matter, regulations matter, but research consistently shows employee resistance is cited most frequently as the barrier that derails change initiatives. Getting people on board is harder than getting money or systems. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. When asked about the most common or primary barrier to change, the answer is employee resistance. Quick recall hook. Most common change barrier, =employee resistance. 40. A company surveys all employees about job satisfaction, communication effectiveness, and management practices. The results are shared with work groups who then develop action plans to address identified issues. Which OD technique uses data collection and feedback to drive organisational improvement? A. Sensitivity training. B. Management by objectives. C. Job enrichment programs. D. Survey feedback method. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, D. Survey feedback method. Explanation. Option D is correct because survey feedback involves systematically collecting data from organisational members, analysing results, and sharing findings to facilitate discussion and improvement planning. Option A is incorrect because sensitivity training focuses on developing interpersonal awareness through small group experiences rather than using organisational surveys to drive systematic improvement. Option B is incorrect because management by objectives is a goal-setting and performance management approach rather than a data collection and feedback methodology for organisational improvement. Option C is incorrect because job enrichment redesigns individual jobs to increase motivation and satisfaction, rather than collecting and using organisation-wide survey data for improvement. Survey feedback is the OD technique where you collect data from employees through surveys, analyse the results, then share findings with work groups to drive improvement planning. The key elements are systematic data collection, analysis, and feeding results back to the organisation. Sensitivity training develops interpersonal awareness through small group experiences, no surveys involved. MBO is goal setting between managers and employees. Job enrichment redesigns individual jobs for motivation. Survey feedback is the data-driven organisational improvement technique. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Survey employees, share results. Work groups develop action plans, means survey feedback method. Quick recall hook, collect data plus share results, =. Survey feedback. 41. A company reviews their pay structure to ensure employees performing similar work receive comparable wages, while those in more demanding positions earn appropriately higher compensation. This analysis examines the relative worth of different jobs. What is the primary purpose of job evaluation in compensation management? A. Determine individual performance bonuses. B. Establish internal pay equity. C. Calculate overtime payment rates. D. Set annual salary increase budgets. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Establish internal pay equity. Explanation. Option B is correct because job evaluation systematically determines the relative worth of jobs within an organisation to establish internal equity in the compensation structure. Option A is incorrect because individual performance bonuses are determined through performance appraisal systems rather than job evaluation, which focuses on position worth. Option C is incorrect because overtime rates are calculated based on legal requirements and hourly wages rather than through job evaluation of relative position worth. Option D is incorrect because salary increase budgets are financial planning decisions rather than outcomes of job evaluation, which establishes relative job worth. Job evaluation determines the relative worth of different jobs within an organisation to establish internal pay equity. The goal is making sure similar work gets similar pay and more demanding jobs get appropriately higher compensation. Individual performance bonuses come from appraisals, not job evaluation. Overtime rates come from legal requirements. Salary budgets are financial planning decisions. Job evaluation specifically answers, how does this job compare to other jobs in terms of value to the organisation? That comparison creates fair internal pay relationships. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Relative worth of jobs and internal pay fairness always point to job evaluation. Quick recall hook. Compare jobs for fair pay = job evaluation. 42. An HR manager wants to ensure the company pays competitive wages compared to other employers in their industry and geographic area. They collect salary data from similar organisations to benchmark their pay rates. What does external equity and compensation refer to? A. Equal pay for equal work internally. B. Consistent overtime payment policies. C. Balanced benefits distribution. D. Fair pay compared to other employers. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, D. Fair pay compared to other employers. Explanation. Option D is correct because external equity refers to paying employees wages that are competitive with what other organisations pay for similar work in the labour market. Option A is incorrect because equal pay for equal work internally describes internal equity rather than external equity, which focuses on market competitiveness. Option B is incorrect because over time, policies are legal compliance matters rather than aspects of external equity, which compares compensation to market rates. Option C is incorrect because benefits distribution is a separate compensation component rather than the concept of external pay equity with other employers. External equity means paying employees fairly compared to what other employers pay for similar work. When you collect salary data from competitors and benchmark your pay rates against the market, you're pursuing external equity. Internal equity is about fairness within your organisation, equal pay for equal work among your own employees. Overtime policies are legal compliance. Benefits distribution is a separate issue. External equity looks outward. Are we competitive in the labour market? Can we attract and retain talent against other employers? Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Competitive with other employers or market rate comparison signals, external equity. Quick recall hook. Compare to market = external equity. 43. A sales organisation pays representatives a base salary plus additional earnings based on the dollar value of products they sell each month. This compensation approach directly links a portion of pay to measurable individual output. Which pay system ties compensation directly to employee productivity or output? A. Incentive pay. B. Seniority-based pay. C. Skill-based pay. D. Time-based pay. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, A. Incentive pay. Explanation. Option A is correct because incentive pay directly links compensation to measurable performance outcomes such as sales volume, units produced, or other quantifiable productivity measures. Option B is incorrect because seniority-based pay increases compensation based on length of service rather than directly tying pay to individual productivity or output measures. Option C is incorrect because skill-based pay rewards employees for acquiring additional competencies rather than directly linking compensation to measurable production or sales output. Option D is incorrect because time-based pay compensates employees for hours worked regardless of output rather than tying compensation directly to productivity measures. Incentive pay directly links compensation to measurable output or productivity. A sales rep earning commissions based on sales volume is receiving incentive pay. The more you produce or sell, the more you earn. Seniority-based pay increases with years of service regardless of output. Skill-based pay rewards learning new competencies. Time-based pay compensates hours worked, not results. Incentive pay is the performance-output connection. Produce more, earn more. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Pay tied to output, commissions, productivity-based earnings all mean incentive pay. Quick recall hook. Output determines pay equals signing incentive. 44. A compensation analyst assigns point values to jobs based on factors such as skill requirements, effort demanded, responsibility level, and working conditions. Jobs with higher total points receive higher pay grades in the salary structure. Which job evaluation method is being used? A. Job ranking method. B. Job classification method. C. Factor comparison method. D. Point factor method. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, D. Point factor method. Explanation: option D is correct because the point factor method assigns numerical values to compensable factors and totals these points to determine the relative worth and pay grade of jobs. Option A is incorrect because job ranking simply orders jobs from highest to lowest value, without assigning specific point values to individual compensable factors. Option B is incorrect because job classification places jobs into predetermined categories or grades, rather than calculating point values for specific compensable factors. Option C is incorrect because factor comparison directly compares jobs on each factor against benchmark jobs rather than assigning and totaling numerical point values. The point factor method assigns numerical point values to compensable factors like skill, effort, responsibility, and working conditions. You total the points for each job, and higher point totals mean higher pay grades. Job ranking just orders jobs from high to low without specific point values. Job classification drops jobs into preset categories. Factor comparison compares jobs against benchmark positions on each factor. Point factor is the quantitative method with numerical scores for each factor. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Assigns points, numerical values to factors, or total points determine pay grade means point factor method. Quick recall hook, points for factors equals sign point factor method. 45. A technology company offers stock options, profit sharing, and annual bonuses in addition to base salaries. Employees receive comprehensive rewards beyond their regular paychecks for contributing to organizational success. What term describes the complete package of monetary and non-monetary rewards employees receive? A. Base compensation only. B. Merit pay increases. C. Total compensation. D. Cost of living adjustments. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, C. Total compensation. Explanation: option C is correct because total compensation encompasses all forms of monetary returns, including wages, bonuses, benefits, and other rewards employees receive from employment. Option A is incorrect because base compensation refers only to the fixed salary or hourly wage rather than the complete package of all rewards and benefits received. Option B is incorrect because merit pay increases are specific salary adjustments based on performance rather than the comprehensive total of all compensation elements. Option D is incorrect because cost of living adjustments are specific wage increases tied to inflation rather than the complete compensation package employees receive. Total compensation is everything an employee receives from employment. Base salary, bonuses, stock options, profit sharing, benefits, the whole package. It's not just the paycheck. Base compensation is only the fixed salary or hourly wage. Merit increases are performance-based raises, just one piece. Cost of living adjustments address inflation, another single piece. Total compensation captures the complete value an employee receives for their work. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Complete package, all forms of rewards. Or everything employees receive means total compensation. Quick recall. Hook. Everything combined equals total compensation. 46. A company provides health insurance, retirement plans, paid time off, and disability coverage to all full-time employees. These additional forms of compensation supplement regular wages and salaries. What is the primary purpose of employee benefits in the total compensation package? A. Replace base salary entirely. B. Eliminate performance bonuses. C. Reduce training expenses. D. Provide indirect compensation. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. D. Provide indirect compensation. Explanation. Option D is correct because employee benefits are forms of indirect compensation that supplement cash wages and provide additional value to employees beyond their regular pay. Option A is incorrect because benefits supplement rather than replace base salary, working together with direct pay to form the total compensation package for employees. Option B is incorrect because benefits and performance bonuses are separate compensation elements that typically coexist rather than benefits eliminating incentive pay programs. Option C is incorrect because benefits provide value to employees rather than serving as a mechanism to reduce organizational training and development expenditures. Employee benefits provide indirect compensation. Health insurance, retirement plans, paid time off, disability coverage. These supplement your paycheck without being part of your direct wages. Benefits don't replace base salary, they work alongside it. Benefits don't eliminate bonuses. Different compensation elements coexist. Benefits aren't about reducing training costs. The purpose is providing value to employees beyond their direct pay. Indirect means it's not cash in your paycheck, but it's still compensation. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Supplement wages, beyond regular pay, or additional value points to indirect compensation through benefits. Quick recall hook. Beyond the paycheck indirect compensation. 47. Which of the following is a legally required employee benefit in the United States? A. Social Security contributions. B. Dental insurance coverage. C. Paid vacation time. D. Life insurance policies. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, A. Social Security contributions. Explanation. Option A is correct because Social Security is a legally mandated benefit, requiring both employers and employees to contribute to provide retirement and disability income protection. Option B is incorrect because dental insurance is a voluntary benefit that employers may choose to offer rather than being legally required under federal employment law. Option C is incorrect because paid vacation time is not federally mandated in the United States, though many employers offer it as a voluntary benefit to attract talent. Option D is incorrect because life insurance is a voluntary benefit employers may provide rather than being required by federal law for all covered employees. Social Security is the legally required benefit in the United States. Both employers and employees must contribute. It's mandated by federal law. Dental insurance is voluntary. Paid vacation is voluntary. There's no federal law requiring it. Life insurance is voluntary. Social Security provides retirement and disability income protection. And participation isn't optional. When a question asks about legally required or mandated benefits, Social Security is the answer. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Legally required, federally mandated, or must provide points to Social Security, workers' comp, or unemployment insurance. Quick recall hook. Legally required Social Security. 48. An employee requests 12 weeks of unpaid leave to care for a newborn child. The employee works for a company with over 50 employees and has been employed for more than 1 year. Which federal law protects this employee's right to take family and medical leave? A. Americans with Disabilities Act. B. Family and Medical Leave Act. C. Fair Labor Standards Act. D. Employee Retirement Income Act. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Family and Medical Leave Act. Explanation. Option B is correct because FMLA provides eligible employees at covered employers up to 12 weeks of unpaid job-protected leave for family and medical reasons including childbirth. Option A is incorrect because the ADA prohibits disability discrimination and requires reasonable accommodations rather than providing family leave rights for childbirth or caregiving. Option C is incorrect because the Fair Labor Standards Act establishes minimum wage and overtime requirements rather than providing rights to unpaid family and medical leave. Option D is incorrect because ERISA regulates employer-sponsored retirement and health plans rather than providing employees with rights to family and medical leave. The Family and Medical Leave Act provides up to 12 weeks of unpaid, job-protected leave for eligible employees. Eligible means you've worked for a covered employer, 50 or more employees for at least 12 months. FMLA covers childbirth, adoption, serious health conditions, and caring for family members. The ADA addresses disability discrimination and accommodations. The Fair Labor Standards Act covers minimum wage and overtime. ERISA regulates retirement and health plans. FMLA is specifically the Family and Medical Leave Law. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. 12 weeks, unpaid leave, newborn, family care all signal FMLA. Quick recall hook. Family leave =FMLA. 49. A company offers a retirement plan where employees contribute a percentage of their salary and the employer matches a portion of those contributions. Employees direct how their account balances are invested among available fund options. Which type of retirement plan is this company offering? A. Defined benefit pension plan. B. Social Security supplement. C. Defined contribution plan. D. Cash balance pension plan. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, C. Defined contribution plan. Explanation. Option C is correct because defined contribution plans specify employer and employee contribution amounts, with retirement benefits depending on investment performance of individual account balances. Option A is incorrect because defined benefit plans promise specific retirement payments based on formulas rather than depending on individual contribution amounts and investment returns. Option B is incorrect because Social Security is a government program rather than an employer-sponsored retirement plan with matching contributions and investment options. Option D is incorrect because cash balance plans are a hybrid type where employers credit accounts with set amounts rather than employees directing investments of matched contributions. A defined contribution plan is where employees and employers contribute specific amounts, and retirement income depends on how those investments perform. Think 401k. You put money in, your employer matches some, you choose investments, and your retirement depends on what you accumulate. Defined benefit plans promise a specific pension amount regardless of contributions. Social Security is a government program, not employer-sponsored. Cash balance plans have employers credit set amounts rather than employees directing investments. Defined contribution puts the investment risk and control with the employee. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Employee directs investments, employer match, or retirement depends on account balance means defined contribution. Quick recall hook. You control investments =defined contribution. 50. A company allows employees to choose among different benefit options based on their individual needs and life circumstances. Younger employees might select more vacation time, while older employees might prefer enhanced retirement contributions. What type of benefits program offers employees personalized choice? A. Standard benefits package. B. Mandated benefits program. C. Executive compensation plan. D. Flexible benefits plan. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. D. Flexible benefits plan. Explanation. Option D is correct because flexible benefits plans allow employees to select from various benefit options to create a personalized package that meets their individual needs and preferences. Option A is incorrect because standard benefits packages provide the same benefits to all employees rather than allowing individual customization based on personal circumstances and preferences. Option B is incorrect because mandated benefits are legally required provisions rather than optional choices employees can select based on their individual needs. Option C is incorrect because executive compensation plans are designed for senior leadership rather than offering all employees flexibility to choose among benefit options. Flexible benefits plans let employees choose among different benefit options based on their personal needs. A young employee might want more vacation time. An older employee might want more retirement contributions. Everyone gets to customize their package. Standard benefits give everyone the same thing, no customization. Mandated benefits are legally required, no choice involved. Executive compensation is for leadership only. Flexible benefits, sometimes called cafeteria plans, put choices in employees' hands. Here's a WGU D351 OA exam tip for you. Employee choice, personalized benefits, or select from options means flexible benefits plan. Quick recall hook. Choose your benefits =flexible plan. You have reached the end of our first question set. For the free complete exam preparation, visit our website link in the description, where you find thousands more practice questions and comprehensive study guides. Thanks for studying with us today. See you in the next video.